Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement. Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Get weekly football winners from Alex White, Chris Andrews, and Vinny Malulo.
I did take the dog 3.5.
I'm going to stay with the culture. That's definitely going to be one of my plays.
If the Bears have turned the corner, they have to take care of business in this game.
Yes.
Tune in for behind-the-book perspectives you won't find anywhere else.
Well, if you're looking to bet the under, you're going to get a better number.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Is there a way to bet against both teams?
Get your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome in. Sports by the Book is the show. South Point Hotel and Casino is the spot. You can find us 5 days a week, 10 a.m. Monday through Thursday. And then, of course, Fridays are our football frenzies, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Happy to be with you here today. We have a fun show for you, as we always do on our Tuesdays. I am Alex White. He is Matt Neverett. We're going to get right into it, Matt. We got to break down, recap this Monday night football game that we saw that was right down the street from us at Allegiant Stadium. Give me your overall thoughts. Ryan kind of tipped us off last week. He said it's a meaningful game for Dallas, and they played like it was.
Absolutely, yeah, and happy to be sitting in here for Ryan for these next couple of days. It's a lot of pressure, but we'll see if I can live up to the expectations. But yeah, that game for Dallas meant a lot. They had 11 days to sit and mourn a fallen teammate, and that motivation angle certainly came out. It was the forefront of the game, and that 21-point second quarter really was the difference in the game. Chip Kelly really, I was going to say a unique game plan, but just a bad one against a Dallas defense that is reloaded, but still soft against a lot of areas that they didn't try to exploit. We were talking before we took the air about an early rush for Ashton Genty in the third quarter, and the broadcast team was like, oh, it's a rare run for the Raiders when they had just drafted their bell cow running back in the first round last year. It's a mess right now in Vegas. It is tough sledding, and I think for Dallas, and especially for Dak Prescott, who threw for 4 touchdowns last night, it did mean a lot, and there are bettable angles with the motivation when it comes to that, and for Dak as well, kind of a get back on the horse type of game.
Well, and that was one of our options. We had a poll yesterday for everybody who watches live, and over 3.5 touchdowns for Dallas was an option. It was a pretty good plus price there, but ultimately they did get the cover, 33-16. I was wrong. I thought the Raiders could at least keep it close. I thought it'd be a little more competitive than it was. Depending on what number you got for the total, you see there it closed at 47.5,
right
which
there.
It was 50 for a lot of the weekend, and then under money came in, I think, at most of the spots. And so hopefully we're on a good number. Their final was 33-16, so 49.
You
So
know
depending on the
someone out there
number.
got a sick middle
Yeah.
on
Well,
that total.
yeah. Hopefully not middled hard, as Ryan has said before, but
Yeah.
actually paid off there for them. In the NBA, favorites 7-1 straight up, 4-4 ATS, nothing crazy there. NHL 4-2 to the under, even though we've been seeing more scoring as of late. Favorites 4-2. That's really it for recap. Anything jump out to you on the hardwood or on the ice?
Nothing too crazy. Wembanyama and Giannis both out, going to miss a little bit of time with injuries. So the Euro invasion on the mend for both of their teams. So it's interesting betting the NBA this year. There are some bettable lines. I'm like a lot of people, though. Personally, I'll wait to bet it more until there's more data, more trends towards the end of the season, and especially the playoffs. I don't think that there's a sport in the Big Four right now where there's a bigger separation in my personal interest in regular season versus postseason. And that's not to say that I don't like or don't watch the regular season NBA, but it's really, really tough on the individual game by game basis. I'll bet some like back-to-back spots, but that's really about it in the regular season. But come playoff time, I'm all about it.
The last 2 years, I really like the in-season tournament that they added, but now just Fridays for the meaningful games for the NBA makes it a little bit harder to really get invested. Kind of slips away too, right? Because we're getting ready for college football on Saturday and then the NFL on Sunday. So I don't love that spot that they chose. I liked it when it was a Tuesday.
I know.
It was a perfect going up against Maction, right?
Yeah,
Why not?
there you go. That's
get some NBA too.
NBA Maction stack. That's the way to that's the way to get me interested. But yeah, it's interesting. And we're going to talk maybe a little bit of Maction later in the show, but moving along, we want to get to our top 10s before we talk NFL as well. But it was an interesting week in college football. Not a ton of movement. We saw that Texas A&M is legit. They do have a harder strength of schedule, all things considered, than I thought when looking at the numbers. They had the big win this week, and a lot of games where we're starting to really be able to predict where we're going to end up for this college football playoff. We'll have the new rankings released tonight. We also have your and Chris Andrews' top 10, and would love to see the difference in where you guys moved Ole Miss this week.
Oh.
I was all over it last week.
We'll see. I don't know if you're going to be disappointed because you won't see Ole Miss on my top 10 once again, but I do have a lot of movement. It's the exact same 10 teams that I've had for the last couple weeks, but a lot of movement. So I am interested to see Chris Andrews, which we'll be following after mine, but I'll jump right into it right now. Jump in with going 10-1 here for me. Miami, Florida stays right there at number 10. They were there last week, and I keep them there this week. Utah falls back just a little bit. I mean, they are 9 now this week. They were 8th last week. Not that they did anything wrong because they had a dominant win over Baylor on the road. I still think that they are a top 10 team in the country. It was just Georgia that really impressed me. Huge win over Texas. So I had to upgrade them a little bit more than I did with Utah. So Georgia now sitting at number 8, and it's competitive. It's pretty compact there for me from 4 all the way to 9. Number 7 for me is Texas Tech. They were there last week. I believe they deserve to be there again this week. Tied though, so they could be 6. Alabama falls back after that loss to Oklahoma. So Alabama and Texas Tech right now for me, same rating. They're both tied for 6, but I just kept Alabama ahead of them as I had them ahead of them last week. Number 5, Texas A&M. They came in at number 3 last week for me, best in the SEC. They still are. On a neutral, I'd have them slightly favored over Alabama and Georgia. But they almost lost last week. That was a scary one against South Carolina. But it was an impressive second half from them to find a way to get that win. So still in the top 5 there for me for the Aggies. Now here's my big movers, Matt. Indiana falls to 4. I think Indiana has looked pretty human the last couple weeks. We saw it against Penn State. And then again last week where they did not get the cover, which for the first few weeks, they were pretty much just running over everybody.
They haven't been winning pretty as of late.
It's been a little bit more of a struggle for them. I still think that they are very good, just not quite as good as, let's say, the other 2 teams in the Big Ten with Oregon and Ohio State. So Oregon jumps ahead of them just slightly. And then here's the big mover. I have been hesitant with Notre Dame since the first 2 games of the year where they did fall to the Aggies and Miami, but very impressive for them to go on the road against Pittsburgh. and dominate really that game. And it wasn't even as close, but Narduzzi called the timeout and got a last-minute touchdown there too to make it seem even closer. So Notre Dame comes in at number 2 for me now, ahead of Oregon and Indiana, and then Ohio State still number 1 and a nice 5-point difference from 1 to 2.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's 1, and then there's like 100 feet, and then there's 2 in the rest of the gang. That's interesting. You know, Notre Dame. I thought Narduzzi didn't care about the final
I thought so
point
too.
differential. He said they could beat us by 100. Why'd you score that late touchdown?
That's right.
Calling you out there. He's one of my least favorite coaches in college football. But I digress.
And you did live there, so you have a reason.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, the way that he tries to recruit the Western Pennsylvania area that has so much football talent. But I digress on that. My point of contention. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Miami, with a couple of bad losses, home against Louisville, and then at SMU. Neither of
Correct.
those teams are going to win anything meaningful come playoff time. For Ole Miss, their only loss was at Georgia. What in your mind does Ole Miss have to do? I know it's all numbers based, but what do we need to see from them in these last couple of games? They got 2 games left. I think they're a top 10 team, but that's not numbers based. That's just a feel based thing.
They're right there. They really are. But I mean, again, we just saw it last weekend against Florida, a Florida team that doesn't have a head coach. And, the word on the street was that they were all kind of waving the white flag. And Florida almost beat Ole Miss, and they found a way as well. But it really is just number based. And, I could potentially just be stuck at a number, not moving them up or down, right? But yeah, they're right there after Miami. Them and Vandy too is my next one.
Interesting.
USC falls back a little bit.
One more question on yours before we get to Chris's. What's your separation between Texas A&M and Texas Tech? Because I am curious. The state of Texas is going to have a great playoffs one way or another, because I think those 2 teams are primed for a lot of success come the end of the season.
Half a point.
Wow.
I have half
with
a
Alabama
point
right in the middle there.
between
So I mean,
those two.
with Texas
Yeah.
Tech, you really got to weigh how highly you value Arizona State, because I think Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham are awesome.
Yeah.
They're one of the more underrated programs in my mind, but that's their only loss this year. And Texas A&M with no losses, and I mentioned it earlier, people calling out their schedule. They play in the SEC, and yeah, they don't play all the big boys in the SEC this year. It's impossible nowadays. One of the many reasons why college football is becoming tougher and tougher to support. Not that I'm not going to support it, but from a legal standpoint. But yeah, Texas A&M and Texas Tech have been almost revelations. A&M, you expect it. Texas Tech, I think, has been a story that is not talked about enough this year. And they've got the oil money, they've got whatever money they've got coming in, but that's what happens when you put it to use, and they're doing it basically with an unlimited budget, kind of coming out of nowhere in terms of relativity these last couple of years.
They look really good. I mean, they haven't just been barely beating the Big 12 teams either. Besides Arizona State, like you mentioned, I mean, they have been very dominant. BYU, that game wasn't even really competitive, and BYU, I think, is really good, and they have the funds and have really built up their team the last couple of years.
I'm just looking at Texas Tech's schedule for the year. They've scored 34 more in every single win. That Arizona State game, the only one that they didn't. And then since losing that game, 42-0 win over Oklahoma State, 43-20 against Kansas State, blew out BYU 29-7, and then won 48-9 against UCF. They have been taking care of business. They got a game coming up against West Virginia. Is it a bye this week, or they have just the one more? But they just have the one more game on the schedule. They are very, very likely to absolutely blow out the Mountaineers and finish the regular season with a top 5 ranking, a Big 12 championship game bid. I think Texas Tech, I don't know about them come playoff time, but I think that they absolutely have a right to get in.
I have one issue with them because they are double digits right now. If you wanted to take them, I believe it was 14-1 I saw for them to win it all. Their backup quarterback is out for the year. So if anything happens to Baron Morton, then I'm very concerned about that team. I guess you could say that about all of these teams, right? We don't really know who. Got to dive in and see who the backups are. But just because we saw a lot of the backup already with Texas Tech, and it was kind of a, 1A, 1B, and the backup did great for Baron Morton. Then now that makes you a little bit nervous because he's had injuries throughout the year already.
Well, that's a benefit. I mean, imagine if Indiana lost Fernando Mendoza today, he slips getting out of the shower and he's out. I think that doesn't eliminate them from a national championship, but it certainly would make it tougher for them to win their next couple of games.
Yeah.
More so than it would for a team like Texas Tech.
Yeah, it actually, I mean, really, he's the leader right now. Good example, because Mendoza
touchdowns,
could win the Heisman, so he is that important to his team. Texas Tech, you just went over their numbers and their win margin, they're winning by their defense too.
Yeah.
So they could really step up
Was it
defensively in those.
36 points allowed in their last 4 games since that loss against Arizona State. So they have been, again, not winning, but dominating these last teams. They're sending a message. I think that's what it comes down to this time of year. All right, let's see Chris Andrews, because I'm curious as to where he has him. Please, Chrissy, tell me you've got Ole Miss in here. Let's see what we got.
He does have it.
We need it.
Even though they didn't cover against Florida, we'll see if he made any adjustments there.
I'll be interested to see. I mean, and there's a lot going on with Ole Miss right now. Lane Kiffin, the money that's being thrown at him. There was a story last night, by the way, and here's Chris Andrews' top 10 with Texas Tech at number 3. I like that. But that they gave him an ultimatum. The school went to Lane Kiffin. This was allegedly, all alleged, and said, let us know by tomorrow what you're going to do. He comes out this morning and says, oh, that's not true. Tells me that's true because it's Lane Kiffin saying that, but who knows? So Chris Andrews also with Miami in the top 10 at number 10. Georgia sliding down to number 9. He's got almost a flip and way more of a spread between Texas A&M and Texas Tech, and he's actually got Texas Tech ranked 8th and Alabama 7th to your 6th. Yep. Utah sliding up to 6 with Notre Dame at 5. You guys see Notre Dame very differently. You've got them at number 2. Oregon at 4. That seems to be the consensus between either 3rd or 4th right now, with Texas Tech at 3. And the more that we kind of hype up the Red Raiders, I kind of am more on Chris's side as far as having Texas Tech in the top 5. Indiana 2, Ohio State 1. I think that's pretty much consensus at this point. Similar teams, just about, what is that? I think it's all the top 10 of the same. You guys have both been really big on Utah this year. Him just a little bit higher than you. So, I like I said, I tend to agree more with Chris's ranking, so to speak, for Texas Tech. Texas Tech absolutely did blow out Utah when they matched up earlier this year, so that's something you got to consider. And the only other loss as we look at Utah right now is the number 15 BYU in the Holy War. So a couple of good losses and a couple of dominant wins last 3 weeks since that loss against BYU. 53-7, 45-14 against the top 25 Cincinnati team, and then absolutely railroaded Baylor last week in Waco, 55-28. So, yeah, Utah. The more I speak about Utah, the more I kind of tend to agree with that.
Are you noticing anything?
Now I am.
With the Rebels falling out of Chris Andrews?
Yeah, that's right. He did have him in last week.
He had Ole Miss in there last week.
So, I mean, he's on the same boat as you as far as not looking as dominant as they likely should have against a interim coached Florida team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, really winning that one 34-24. So when it comes down to the numbers, depending on where you had them, right? If you had them covering pretty easily, and then you have to make that adjustment. But
and I joke about Lane Kiffin, but I do think he is a master motivator. I think he's perfect for the college game in a lot of regards, that being one of them. And I think that if there is no news on him leaving Ole Miss in the next couple of days, couple of weeks even, I think he's a guy that can really turn that into fuel for his team if they can make a run and get into an SEC championship game potentially, which they still are up for and able to make. I think that that's a team where look out once they get hot.
They'll be in the playoffs. And actually, you're right. Their schedule kind of nice. They get a bye week this week, and then they have Mississippi State up next, who's looking not as good as they were to start the season and to start SEC play. They've really fallen off since getting whooped on by Georgia. But
all bets are off in the Egg Bowl, though.
That's true. It is. I mean, it is. That's rivalry week for a reason.
Absolutely.
But
can't wait.
Still, a bye week before that, and then I don't know. They may be in the SEC title game, so it'll be interesting. They should be right now, right? They
might get a bye.
Them and A&M.
Yeah, I know. Who would have predicted at the beginning of the year an Ole Miss,
Georgia,
Ole Miss, Texas A&M SEC championship?
Right.
Georgia's still in it. I think Alabama just fell out after last week, so something to watch there. Interesting, and we'll talk a little bit more about this from a futures perspective as we go along through the week. So,
well, I will just say too, I am debating, and there's a very good chance I am going to put a ticket on Ohio State, because every week we come in here and on Tuesdays I give my top 10, and I have been saying that there's a gap between one and the rest, right? So still getting plus money, plus 185, I think is the best number out there. Yeah. I might grab that ticket now, hoping that the Buckeyes make it at least to the championship game, and then maybe grab the points with the other team and try and middle there. But
with these South Point odds, if I handed you a $20 bill and I told you couldn't bet on Ohio State, who would you throw that Andrew Jackson on?
I'd probably go Notre Dame at 8-1. But there's a but.
What's the but?
I would have to wait to make sure they are in the playoffs first before betting on Notre Dame because they are a 2-loss team. There is a shot that Notre Dame misses the playoffs still. If they like some of these SEC schools that are 2-loss teams like Alabama 8-2, Oklahoma 8-2 now, if they find a way, or even Miami who has the head-to-head with 2 losses. So I would wait on that one. I do really like A&M. And last week felt like a game that could really flip their season for the better, right?
Definitely.
They survived. They were down 30-3 to South Carolina and found a way.
You need those types of games.
Yeah.
Throughout the course of a regular season. How about Ole Miss down there at 15-1?
15-1 is
Does
a pretty
Oregon
good number.
intrigue you at 12-1 at all?
I am not sold on this Oregon team, even though I have them third right now. They're very good metrics team, right? They're like the analytics that everybody loves, and you kind of bump them up because of that.
Yeah.
But I think they could trip up this week against USC, if I'm being honest.
I mean, USC has been kind of a giant killer at times this year. I'm just looking at Oregon's schedule. I mean, their only loss was that ugly game against Indiana, and they've basically blown everybody else out except for Iowa in that game in the rain at Kinnick. So not the toughest strength of schedule. I think that's the only thing working against them maybe in some of the advanced metrics. But I think at 12-1 as your third-ranked team who have basically been sitting there the entire year, I think there's value on that.
That's true.
And I like Dante Moore. Maybe a little bit too much, but I'm a big Dante Moore guy.
Well, and not to mention, look at how much it benefited Ohio State last year from missing the Big Ten title game, right? It's an extra bye week.
Yeah.
They came into the playoffs ready to go and just kind of rolled.
I am a little miffed. I went on to try to find some of the Oregon Grateful Dead collaboration that they did a couple of weeks ago. Yesterday, all sold out, unless you were a men's small. So we'll have to order something for the studio and put it up because those were sick. No larges or extra larges in anything.
I'll have to look those up because I'm not sure.
I'm sure there's more in the lady sizes than the men's sizes were also out anything. But yeah, no, interesting to see, and we'll talk like I said a little bit more about the futures and some Heisman odds throughout the rest of the week.
Yes.
And interested to hear some of Bruce Marshall's plays tomorrow in the college realm because he's got some good ones as always. All right,
yes.
So from the quote unquote amateurs, even though it's NIL, it's pro ball in college now, to the real pros, the guys that play on the Sunday, sometimes Thursdays and Mondays. An interesting slate in the NFL this week. Some playoff pictures starting to come really into view. Some injuries starting to affect a lot of these teams late, and a lot of teams getting healthy at the right time. Looking at you, San Francisco 49ers. And we'll jump right in on Thursday. One of those teams that's been banged up but has been really, really good on the defensive side of the ball, the Houston Texans, home against the Bills this upcoming Thursday. It's an interesting matchup for Buffalo after dropping a season-high 44 points on the Bucs last week. You got that Houston defense that has been top 3 in points allowed, yards per play allowed, and opponent third down percentage. It's strength on strength. It's momentum versus momentum in this one. Buffalo opened 2.5, now laying 5.5 because of the concern about C.J. Stroud and whether or not he plays. I don't think Davis Mills has been that much worse, but how much do you value C.J. Stroud? That's kind of the handicap for this one in terms of the line move.
It definitely is 3.5 up to 5.5 for most places. Total 44, which is pretty wild. 43.5 now we're seeing at the South Point. Pretty wild for a Buffalo total, but that just says all you need to know about this Houston Texans defense. That is elite. I would say they are top 3 right now in the league. So you're right, strength on strength. Their defense, the Bills' offense. Thing is, the Bills' offense has not been all that dominant. Looked good last week against Tampa Bay, but early thoughts right now, kind of looking at the points there. Standalone game, Houston to keep it close, but we'll see as the week moves on. Let's go to the early slate on Sunday here with Chicago and Pittsburgh. No news for sure. We know Aaron Rodgers will not have to have surgery, but it could be Mason Rudolph stepping in for him at the quarterback position for the Steelers up against the Chicago Bears, who have been very lucky so far this year. They're 7-3 and leading the division, Matt. 3-point favorite here at home against Pittsburgh. Yeah,
somehow the Bears 7-3 with a negative point differential. It's one of the latest in the seasons that a team has that good of a winning differential or win-loss differential with a negative point scored versus points against. So interesting there. They've only won 2 games against teams with a 500 record or better, and we know that that's all that Mike Tomlin does in Pittsburgh. Yeah, the handicap here is the injury to Aaron Rodgers. It's on his non-throwing wrist. That is something to keep an eye out for. I think if there's one guy in the league that could go out there right now and play one-handed, it might be Aaron Rodgers. Not even like a skill thing, but just the way that he plays, like a maestro out there when he's at his best. But Mason Rudolph looked downright proficient last week against
Yeah.
the Bengals when he got in. Again, it is the Bengals, and their defense, especially on the pass game, is atrocious. But Mason Rudolph, 12 out of 16, a $127 and a touchdown through the air. That's pretty darn good. The handicap on the other side is that the Bears, who, hey, a win is a win, you'll take it. Negative point differential, but the number that stands out to me and the number that kind of leads me to an under on this one, no play, but just a lean. The Bears have only turned the ball over 6 times this year offensively. Caleb Williams really turning things around in that regard compared to his rookie season last year. And then you got to handicap Mike Tomlin as a dog. There's certain coaches and certain spots that handicaps like that actually matter. I'm talking about like the Harbaughs and Belichick off a bye week back in the day. Tomlin as a dog, I think, is one of the best systems you can play just blindly throwing money at. 63% against the spread in his career when catching points. And as a road dog, he's 41, 28, and 1 career. Tomlin as a dog has been money. Like I said, no play for me. I'd lean under. If this line gets even bigger, Bears up to like 5, you're asking a team that has been outscored by 6 this year to win a game against a decent Steelers team by 5 or 6. I don't know. And you got to handicap Rodgers.
It might go up, though. You're right. Once the public knows Aaron Rodgers is out, maybe not really knowing a whole lot about Mason Rudolph, and just seeing the record 7-3 next to Chicago. So might get a better number there with the Steelers later on in the week.
I think, too, if you're going to bet this under, maybe wait because, or actually, I'm looking at the next game. Do not wait because 44 is that key number on the total. I think if they come out tomorrow and say Aaron Rodgers is out, I think that's worth about a point on the total. Would get it right hovering over that 44.5. So if you're going to get in on under, I would do it here early in this week. I think one that you may want to wait on for later in the week is our next game on Sunday, the Jets at the Ravens. And I do have a play in this one. It's one that I am going to get in on early, but I think this line could move. The Baltimore winners of their last 4. Jets have won 2 of the last 3. Hot on hot right now. That being said, Tyrod Taylor getting the start against his former team, Justin Fields being benched for, I guess, only scoring fantasy points and not actually putting up tremendous stats when it comes to the old numbers. Interesting decision. What do you make of that? Because I don't think there's that much of a difference, but I don't really understand the motivation after the Jets have started to actually get some momentum.
I agree, especially after they made a bunch of trades, right? Some of their big names.
The roster, yeah.
And still we're playing pretty good football. So I don't really know why they're benching him at this point in the season.
And I could see this Jets offense that has been among the worst in football all season long, not having success against a Baltimore team that has been better defensively as of late. Still not great, but getting better as they get healthier, because that was really the main concern. I think the handicap here for me, and I am going to play under on this game on the whiteboard later. The Jets have held 4 of their last 5 opponents to 27 or less. Now that includes the Patriots and the Broncos, 2 playoff-bound teams. The Ravens not quite to that level, but can score. But the Jets have only scored 14 points exactly in each of their last 3 games. The Ravens haven't scored more than 30 points since week 2, and that was against the lowly Browns. So I think everything trending to under, even though these 2 teams are playing well and the defenses are starting to come to play. I'm going to go under 44.5 in this one. It's a big number. Baltimore laying almost 2 touchdowns.
Well, talk about a big number. I lean to Baltimore right now with those 2 touchdowns under that 14 because they want to get that offense moving again. I think this is a good spot for them to take advantage. Last week did not look pretty, but that was a division matchup against a good Browns defense. So I think we see him turn it around here.
It's a good T-spot, too.
Early look. And yes, I do agree with that. Definitely. Early look, but that's the way I am leaning here. Let's see if the Lions can also turn it around. They are a 10.5-point favorite at home against the Giants. We don't know if we get Jameis Winston again. Jackson Dart trending in the right direction. We'll keep an eye on that. I kind of imagine it would be Jameis Winston again here. Detroit defense looked good against the Eagles. Offense did not. Total is 50 in this one, Matt. Anything jump out to you?
We'll see if the Giants get their fullback Jackson Dart back for this game. That's the way that they've kind of run him since drafting him. And I saw a clip actually the other day of when he went to Gruden's quarterback academy. And Gruden kind of almost predicted exactly how it's playing out. He goes, I love the way you run. I love your fire. But when you get to the NFL, you got to learn how to protect yourself as a quarterback. And, between Scatterbo and Jackson Dart, you got 2 of the most fearless runners in football. You don't always like it when it's your, star quarterback,
right.
First early round draftee, and a guy who's could be a cornerstone of your franchise in Scatterbo from a PR perspective here for a couple of weeks. I think Jameis Winston is as good as a backup. We were talking about backups in the college game earlier. I think he's a guy that as we know by now, is going to be able to play in the NFL as long as he's healthy, like a Joe Flacco, because he just goes out there and slings it. And just the leadership from Winston, if you want to call it that, just such a unique guy. The Giants, though, even if Dart plays, I think are in rough shape. They've lost 5 in a row. They are 0-6 on the road this year, not traveling well. We obviously know that the Lions have a lot of success playing at home in the Dome, especially Jared Goff. I think we see that kind of Jekyll and Hyde act when he's at home versus on the road. I like over in this one. No play yet, but you got to wait on the quarterback situation. Giants 5-1 to the over in the last 6 games, and the Lions have scored 30 or more points 5 times through 11 games this year. So we'll see if Mike Kafka can get the Giants offense to score some points. Lions, though, I think the only thing that gives me a little bit of pause with this line now over 10 points. The Lions are just 2-3 against the spread in their last 5. They've been winning, but not necessarily dominating. A feisty underdog in the Giants. I don't know. I'd have to see where this line moves one way or the other with the quarterback, but we'll see.
It's tough. I mean, I was all about the Lions this past week against the Eagles. Dan Campbell taking over play calling, right, on the offensive side. Didn't really work out, but that Eagles defense looks really good. I think this could be a good bounce back spot.
I think so, too. And the Lions are one of those teams where you can almost handicap them week by week, where you can almost predict a dud before it happens with them. I mean, they play better when they play better teams. That was always the joke in my house for a long time about the Steelers, is that they could beat the 18-0 Patriots, but then they could also lose to the 0-16 Lions.
Right.
Like, they just play up or down to the level of their opponent. And the Lions aren't that drastic.
No, because they beat up on the bad teams, right? And that's
there's
kind of
certain
what
matchups,
we've known
though,
about them.
Certain matchups, though, where you can kind of go into the week and say, this isn't a good spot for them.
Yeah.
Not saying that that's the case this week, but I really like your angle of a bounce back. 10.5 is just a lot to lay.
It is.
It is. If you really like a big favorite teaser, you go Ravens, you go Lions, and you just hope for the best. Those could be 2 blowouts. Call that the New York fade, which I'm fine with. Sorry, the New Jersey fade, because neither of those teams actually play in New York. Keeping it or flipping over rather to the AFC, and you see my Patriots, the hottest team in football. Who would have thought it? I thought like 12 wins this year going into the year. I thought 12 wins would be outstanding. They're on pace for a lot more than that. 9th straight win if they can get it done this week. The Bengals, losers of 3 in a row and 7 of their last 8. Does Joe Burrow play? I feel like the handicap in every game is the quarterbacks. I don't know if he plays here, and I'm handicapping this one as of now on a Tuesday in the morning on the West Coast as if he's not going to play. This one obviously could change throughout the week, and we'll update it here. Patriots through 11 games, 8-3 ATS, allowing under 19 points per game. They've been dominant. And like the Lions, they've been blowing out the teams they're supposed to blow out, and they're laying 8 points now with the line moving from an opening number of 5 already.
I don't know if Joe Burrow does play. They have the Ravens up next. Do they want to get him a game before they go to Baltimore next weekend if they can, or do they save him? Because right now they only have 3 wins, and they need every win they can get if they're going to try to make a run in this conference. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll see where his health is, but 8 points feels like a lot. Are the Patriots going to eventually slip up a little bit here? I thought the Bengals could cover against the Steelers last week. They couldn't. And I'm impressed you picked 12 wins for the Patriots. I know it's your team, but I thought 9.
I was way more optimistic. I'm going to be underselling it with the way that they've been playing.
Definitely.
A number that stands out to me, the Bengals allowing over 160 rush yards per game. Travion Henderson starting to really emerge in his role and just to have more consistency in the running game in general. For every Patriots rusher, including Drake May. And then the trends, again, favoring New England like crazy. 5 games on the road this year for the Pats, 5-0 ATS, and straight up. So they've taken care of business. They're going on the road to Cincinnati. Not really a home field advantage for the Bungles in this one. So I like the Patriots laying over 8. I am going to include this in a teaser leg later. I'm going to give out a 3-leg tease at the end of this, and the Patriots laying the 8 down to 2 are going to be on that teaser.
Getting under a field goal, always a good way to go there with your favorites. Of course,
and that
you want to cross the 7 and the 3 if possible. That
line's going to move. I think it goes up to 9 even. So if you're trying to get it under that touchdown, now's the time.
Yeah, under field goal,
beg your pardon, on the teaser, yes.
Exactly. From a really good AFC surprise to a good NFC surprise with the Seattle Seahawks. I say that, even though they had 10 wins last year, but still pretty dominant, and that is why they are a 13-point favorite on the road. They've been better on the road than at home this year. They're coming off a tough loss against the Rams, 21-19 with 5 turnovers in that game. So
they dominated in every aspect outside of that.
exactly. The fact that they could still hang around and cover that 3.5 is pretty impressive. I'm worried for the Titans in this one. So it would only be a look at Seattle, who I am very impressed with so far. Total 40.5.
And like we're pitching all these big favorites as potential
Yes, I
teaser legs.
know.
It's tough to tease a team on the road, especially a favorite on the road. And this one's got a potential for a backdoor. I really think in this one, the Titans, what do they have to lose at this point? I mean, they're playing their best. They've got their good on good out there, and they're still losing games. I know I made the joke last week, but it's the gift that keeps on giving. You're not supposed to tank the year after a tank, but the Titans, here we are in the very similar spot as they were last year. They've got their quarterback. I'm a big Cam Ward guy, both from a personality and skills standpoint. So they don't have any motivation to win, but they've got motivation to play hard. And I think that's really tough to lay points against a team like that at this point of the year. Their goal right now, as much as it is to win games, they don't have the talent to do it against most teams. Their goal right now is to play spoiler. And so they're going to fight hard to the end. I don't know if they win this game. I think they keep it under 2 touchdowns.
The only thing that worries me is last week, I loved a lot of dogs. They jumped out on the board, Titans being one of them against Houston without CJ Stroud. Thought they could keep it close, and it was a low-scoring game, right? 16-13. This one makes me nervous. If you remember when the Seattle Seahawks went to Arizona, it was 28-0 before the first quarter was over. They had 2 offensive and 2 defensive touchdowns. I think this defense could do that to Cam Ward and company as well. So that's the only part that makes me a little bit nervous about them covering, even though it is a big number in that one.
Probably the best game coming up in the NFC this weekend. Minnesota at Green Bay. NFC North showdown with Green Bay now up to 6.5. I think that this one could get over the touchdown as well. Got to keep an eye as that one toggles between a couple of key numbers. Minnesota comes in losers of back-to-back games. Packers snapped a 2-game losing streak last week. Green Bay waiting on the word from Josh Jacobs as far as his availability and health due to that knee injury. This is a great matchup, one that I'll be definitely keeping an eye on, and one that the Packers are getting money, and it's being bet to the under. 43 on the opener, now down to 41. I think people are seeing this rivalry and a divisional showdown as a good spot to get in on the under. So I could see this one getting maybe even a bit lower as well. But I think if it does that, the line's going to go down as well to maybe 5.5 back under that 6-point number.
Now, this is a dog I could definitely get behind here with the Vikings to keep it close against Green Bay. Green Bay's just not really covering these numbers, even when they are finding ways to win these games. But no, if they don't have Josh Jacobs, that really makes me nervous. They're definitely running the football more than anyone without Tucker Kraft. And they just have the injuries on the offensive side. And I think Brian Flores can have his defense ready to go. Division matchup. So this is a dog, Matt, that I think I could back here.
Always good to take dogs in the divisional matchups. There's a couple of trends here that lead me to an underlean. No play yet. I'd have to see what the injury news is. But so J.J. McCarthy only completing 49% of his passes when under pressure this year. That's been the way to attack him, is just rush some more. Keep bodies in his face. Green Bay is among the leaders, top 3 in the NFL in quarterback hurries, quarterback hits, and sacks. They have the number 5 pass rush according to Pro Football Focus. And Green Bay's also allowed the least number of 20-plus yard completions in the league, just 21 of them through 11 games played. So I don't think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of big explosive plays, and I think that it's going to be a lot of sacks for both sides. So again, no play yet, but a lean to the under based on those numbers.
I'm with you. I think it's correlated there too, taking the points and the under.
Certainly.
In that division matchup. Let's keep it rolling here. Going to the AFC, an important game for the Chiefs. They're just 5-5 on the year, 8-2 Colts. Going to Kansas City. They're a 3.5-point favorite. Total is 50.5. Matt, this feels like a game the Chiefs got to have to keep their playoff hopes alive.
And this is a very much a potential AFC playoff matchup. I think the Colts, outside of the Patriots, the hottest team in the AFC, the Chiefs are one of those teams where they just got to get a seat at the dance come playoff time, and they're dangerous. This is a great matchup to keep an eye out for. The total, I think, might be the only one this week that has not moved an inch since the opening line of 50.5. Kansas City moving a point, the line moving a point towards them, opening up at 4.5, now down to 3.5. I think this is going to be one that the books take pretty even action on both sides. I think the public is starting to get behind Indianapolis, that Chiefs fatigue is real. And I could see this game taking a ton of public action. I'm surprised that this one, I was going to say surprised it didn't get flexed, but Tampa and LA is a great Sunday nighter. And you can't flex them into a Monday. So only because it's Tampa and the Rams as the Sunday nighter this week. I think that's the reason this one didn't get flexed.
Yeah, I wouldn't have mind. Really, I could have liked this one to be Sunday night, one or the other. I mean, Tampa Bay right now, kind of sliding, but we'll see if they can turn it around too. I think I like the Chiefs in this spot. I haven't made my numbers yet. Have to adjust again from Sunday, but I'm leaning to the Chiefs after that Broncos loss. I think I think they'll have the defense ready to go. Spags and company, I'll have something. But Colts coming off a bye week.
I was going to say, too, because I mentioned the trend earlier of like coaches in certain spots that you can bet on. Andy Reid coming off of a loss at home. I think it's a great spot. So I'm with you there. No play yet for me, but gun to my head right now, I think I'd go with KC in that one. An interleague, so to speak, matchup between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Arizona Cardinals. If the next two games that we're going to talk about weren't on the schedule, I think this would be my least favorite of the week. These are two teams that are really just enigmas at this point of the year. Like, what are either of these teams? We know Arizona's bad, but we don't really know what the solution is. They've lost 7 of their last 8 games. They've lost back-to-back games by 19 or more points. And in the last 2 games, Jacoby Brissett and the offense has turned the ball over 5 times combined. We talked about the 5 turnovers in one game for Seattle. 5 turnovers in 2 games is a really bad stretch for any NFL offense. Jaguars potentially, I'd say likely getting Brian Thomas Jr. back from an injury. I think that leads you to some Jacoby Myers props. I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to spread the ball out with the added focus on the additional pass catchers. I think there's a lot of trends in this one that lead to overs. I think if there was a play for me, it'd be on over. This one at 47.5 right now, way up from the opening number of 44.5.
I like that. I could get behind that, definitely. Leaning to the Cardinals as of right now, getting points because overreaction. Jacksonville at home beat up on the Chargers pretty good. And like you mentioned, Arizona coming into this one, losers of 2 in a row. But that was against 2 really good division defenses. And I'm not sure Jacksonville is that. So leaning to a home dog in that one. Let's go. I hate to call it, but this is kind of the toilet bowl.
Oh, this is an awful matchup
between these two. The Las Vegas Raiders hosting the Cleveland Browns.
Woo!
2-8. Both of these teams. I'm done betting on the Raiders. They're laying 3.5 here at home. I mean, if there's a spot for them, though, it's got to be this. Dylan Gabriel. Don't know if he's going to be back. It was a tough going for Shedeur Sanders in his first NFL game. Total 37, Matt. Anything jump out to you, or are you just crossing this one and moving to the next game?
I'm going to cross this one off. The Raiders are one of those teams, especially here in Vegas. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 8 or 9 times, shame on me.
That's right.
I got nothing. Two teams that are abject messes right now on the rosters. Like, what is the positive outside of Max Crosby and the pass rush for the Raiders? What do they have going for them right now?
That's it.
And for the Browns, what do they have going for them right now?
Well, it's the defensive side as well.
That's about it.
Yeah.
And even their defense
it might be a dead under here, even though it's the lowest total on the board at 37. I still like it.
The only reason that Atlanta, New Orleans, which we'll talk about next, is not the toilet bowl is because of the Browns and the Raiders, so they can thank them for that. It's a tough divisional matchup in the NFC South. And I mean, you almost want to throw the records and the numbers and the trends out the window in these divisional matchups, but it's hard. These are two teams in a rough way. Saints have lost 16 of their last 20. They come in 2-8 on the year. Falcons losers of 5 straight. But the thing that gives me a little bit of hope, so to speak, for the Falcons, even with the injury to Michael Penix and Drake London, is the fact that they've lost 3 of those games, the last 5 games, by single-digit points. Or one possession, even less than that. 3 straight losses by 1 possession. And New Orleans, like I said, 16-20 in losses. Dead last in the NFL in red zone trips, ending in touchdowns. I think that leads you to an underplay. Potentially, Atlanta's still going to be missing Drake London. They're going to lean on Bijan Robinson and Tyler Allgeier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I could see a lot of running in this game. And a point that I mentioned to you about this one earlier in the week, and I will give you a tease here that this game is a part of my 3-team tease. A veteran Kirk Cousins with a full week of prep for New Orleans, playing in the Dome with Tyler Shuck making his Super Dome debut as a starter. Saints 0-5 in their last 5 games to the under. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points, and I think the Falcons are able to keep it close. This line moving to New Orleans, who's now a 1.5-point favorite with a game that opened to pick them. I think if you can tease right now the Falcons up, take a 6-point tease, get them over a touchdown, catch the hook on the 7.5. I think they keep it close, if not win this game outright.
I don't hate that at all, and especially if you're teasing it up. I don't love it at 1.5. I don't trust this Falcons team, but you're right. They have 2 really good running backs they can lean on here. Just don't like what I've seen from Kirk Cousins as of late, and it's the coaching. Chris Andrews and myself and Ryan have been talking about it a lot. Raheem Morris don't really like what we've seen from him. So even though
But from Kellen
Moore
Kellen
is,
Moore on the other
is
side?
new,
I don't know.
he's got that team at least playing hard for him.
I
Even though
guess.
they don't have the best of talent, they're definitely playing hard
It's because
for
they have a
him.
30-year-old rookie quarterback. I don't know. So we have now gone through all three legs of my teaser, and I'll show it later on the whiteboard. But I'm going to bet it today. I'm on the Falcons at +7.5. I'm on the Packers at 0.5 point. And I'm going to take the Patriots laying the 2 on the road at Cincinnati in the 3-leg tease.
Okay, 7.5 is fine. Would you still be confident taking just 1.5 with the Falcons here on the road against
I
the
would take
Saints?
money line. I could be convinced on a money line play, especially if the line keeps moving to New Orleans. If it gets up over like 2 on the, would that be what, +180 or so? If I can get the closer I can get to 2-1 on a Falcons money line, I will take it. I think the Falcons win this game straight up on the road, but I like I like it as a 3-leg tease.
They definitely should. You're right. So I can't fault you there at all. All right, let's go to something a little more exciting.
Yeah,
How about
finally.
a nice division
Out of the
matchup
canyon, up
here?
the hill.
Yeah, NFC East. The Eagles are somehow 8-2, even though not looking all that impressive this year. Dallas gets another win, so they are 4-5-1. It's a meaningful one for them in regards to the division if they are going to try and win that one. Catching 3.5 at home. Total 48. Did you like what you saw enough from the Cowboys last night to take 3.5 here against the Eagles?
I mean, Attila in our chat liked it enough to say thank you, Dallas, for the under gift last night, taking the knee with like 3 minutes left. I know a couple people that had an overplay that were not very excited, aka my 2 younger brothers I was watching the game with. They also had some Cowboy running back rushing touchdown props that they were not very excited that didn't hit at the end there. So yeah, a lot of people saying thank you. A couple of people sharing the same last name with me were not as excited as Attila was about the way that game ended last night. I could see this one going under again. That total's moved up. It's 48. It's up as high as 50.5 at some places. So definitely shop around if you want to bet this one early in the week. Eagles winners of this matchup in week 1. I kind of forgot there was that divisional matchup week 1, 24-20 the win. So I don't know how much stake you want to put into that. You know, they say it's tough to beat a team twice in a year, but 3-4 months apart, how much stake you really want to put into that. Philly, 4-game winning streak. They've allowed 16 points combined in their last 2 games, and that's not against slouches. That's against the Lions and the Packers, 2 playoff teams and 2 NFC favorites. So Philly's defense, I think, is going to have a field day. It's just going to be a matter of how many points they score. I like this one on under on the first look.
I don't hate it. I'm leaning to the points and the under here between these two, but nothing definite yet.
So from the NFC East to what I think could be a potential NFC playoff preview, maybe an NFC championship preview on Sunday night. You got the Tampa Bay Bucks. You got Baker Mayfield heading to SoFi Stadium, taking on Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams. That one opened Rams -6 and 48.5. Line moves 0.5 point and a full point to the over. Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin both returned to practice yesterday for the Buccaneers. Definitely something to monitor in terms of the offense as far as if they can get those guys back for this week. This is 2 explosive offenses and 2 defenses that have struggled as of late in allowing the big play. Rams allowed 414 yards, 26 first downs, and allowed the Seahawks to go 7 out of 16 on 3rd down last week. If not for the 5 turnovers, that was a Seattle win in a lot of regards. And I think, because the NFL is such a copycat league and the Bucs are so well coached, I think they watch that film over and over again. They're going to, if it were old tape, they would wear out the tape watching that film against Seattle last week for the Rams.
So you're leading to the over here. You like the points too?
I do. Here's a couple more. Tampa, 32 points and 367 yards last week against Buffalo. That was a shootout. Yeah. Buffalo put up a season high in points as well. Tampa Bay has allowed the 3rd most 20 or more yard completions this season in the NFL, and the Rams 4th in 20-yard plays overall. So 2 explosive offenses, 2 defenses that are coming off of tough outings. I don't think that they were really able to shore up that much in a primetime game. I love my primetime first half unders. I love primetime unders in general, and I like primetime field goal kickers over. Last night, Dallas and the Raiders had 4 field goals in the first half. I'm going to go against it in this one. I could see this one starting hot, starting heavy. A lot of points in the early stages as the defenses adjust.
I thought the Niners-Rams under 49.5 was a lock to the under, right? Thinking both defenses would really show up. I watched that whole game. It wasn't even close.
No.
It flew over. So I'm with you. I think that the Bucs can pretty much do that same thing, if not keep it closer, though, because the Rams They really dominated that one against the Niners 2 weeks ago. So I like over and I like the points. If not, maybe a little on the money line for Tampa Bay to get right here and get a win.
Like well, and you know, and our viewers know if you've been watching on Tuesdays, for me to go against a primetime first half under is saying something. That is like an auto bet more often than not for me. So that should tell you something on the Sunday night or how I feel.
What do you think about Monday night, though, with San Francisco and Carolina? It's another high total at 49 here at the South Point. And the Niners, you mentioned it, getting healthy, looking a lot better. Laying 7, though, at home to a 6-5 Panthers team.
I mean, if you would have told me preseason that through 11 games the Panthers would be a half a game back for the division lead, I would have told you were crazy.
Yeah.
I'd have a bridge in China to sell you. But the Panthers, I mean, Bryce Young, where did this come from? He looked downright hapless in his first season and a half. And then he's really turned it around since returning from being banged up. Yeah, the running game helps.
They're helping him,
450 yards in the win against the Falcons last week, a franchise record for him. Starting to finally show why he was the first overall draft. A lot draft pick. A lot of people were questioning that for a while. The question here is if San Francisco is getting healthy. I don't think they're going to have Brandon Ayuk back this week, but Carolina's playing their 3rd road game in 4 weeks. I think that's something with a young team, and especially with the coaching advantage that the 49ers have. I could see this one kind of slipping late. I talked about getting backdoored on the Titans game earlier. I think this is one where you could get backdoored if you're on the Panthers with a late touchdown or maybe a field goal to go up by 8, and then the Panthers aren't able to have that one drive to get back within a score. This is a tough one. I would lean under, again, with Carolina playing that much on the road and that short of a span, and the coaching advantage where the 49ers will try to expand the drives, limit the number of possessions. I think overall to keep the ball out of Bryce Young's hand. It's under or nothing, but I could see this one being right near that line of 7. This is going to be one where that critical number comes into play.
Solid point about all the road games, because at first glance, it was definitely taking the 7 with the Panthers, kind of an overreaction from what we saw from the Niners last week, who have not been consistent, even with Brock Purdy. So that'll probably keep me off of it, though, with that many road games for the Panthers. I do like the under. I think both teams are going to try and establish the run early, maybe take some of the clock down. So under, I think that's a good way. Let's take a quick break. When we get back, we've got some games on the hardwood. You've got college basketball plays.
Big night tonight. We'll
touch on a little action. There's one play I like in the 3rd game, but then I do have some hockey bets coming up here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Sports by the Book.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports by the Book, live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. Alex White and Matt Neverett here with you for the next, I'll say 15, 20 minutes, because we've got to give out some plays, some bets we like for tonight. First, though, Matt is going to check in with the chat. We've got a poll going. Ticker Trivia is live, so try and get the answer correct first. We like to have a little competition here with the trivia.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit of NHL coming up. We'll end the show on the ice, but on our poll right now, 18 votes so far. Icy road conditions. I like that. Which plus money road team are you on today in the NHL? And we'll talk about a couple of these matchups. I know Alex is on at least one of these guys. You got the Kraken catching 145 at the Red Wings. The Islanders plus 150 at the Stars. Devils plus 145 in Tampa against the Lightning at Amalie Arena. And then the Columbus going on the road to Winnipeg. Plus 155. Get in on the chat. We'll give out our favorite ones, the one that gets the most votes here at the end. Also see JR, who owns the Chiefs. I like that one. Frank Nicotero says that the Steelers beat the Patriots. Just saying. I don't know about that right now. Alex, thanks for doing this daily. Keep up the amazing job. Love for Jill. And Cleveland Browns roll, says Daryl Turner, in the toilet bowl. I don't know about a roll in a toilet bowl. The jokes write themselves there. So keep it up in the chat. We'll bring up a couple more throughout the show. And stay subscribed to Sports by the Book here. We're racking up the subscribers as well.
I love it. Yes, please help us.
And
with
then
those
Ticker
numbers
Trivia,
there.
always baseball. We'll get to that one at the end of the show.
Did you already read it?
I did read it.
Okay.
I did read it in the lead up to the show. I'll give you a hint. You got to get 3 of the 5 names. I would have gotten probably 2 of them.
Wow.
So it's a
That means
decently
really
hard
tough.
one. Ryan did do some work ahead of time. He did lay them out for the rest of the week.
That's Vince.
Vince did. Ryan's not working. Ryan doesn't do any work. It's all the boys behind the scenes, Andrew and Vince. Yeah.
Let's go to the hardwood.
Let's do
You've
it.
got some college basketball plays for us, and you broke down these big matchups that are at Madison Square Garden, back-to-back games here. Let's start it off with Michigan State, number 17 right now, and number 12, Kentucky.
Yeah, it's the State Farm Champions Classic this evening at MSG on ESPN. I also didn't realize, I did the research looking into these matchups in particular. I didn't realize how long this individual tournament had been going on. They're like, yeah, these two teams are 5-4 against each other all time in the Champions Classic. You hear Maui Invitational, you hear about some of the other ones, but I didn't know that this one was as big. I know that MSG is the Mecca, but who knows? So this one opened Kentucky, laying 5, 152.5 on the total. Line staying pretty steady. It's actually down to 4.5 now, with the total going up a full point. Michigan State at 3-0, Kentucky 3-1 in a 17 versus 12 ranking matchup. Kentucky's only lost that tough one on the road at the KFC Yum Center against Louisville. While I was all over them. This is a good matchup. And these are the only 2 ranked-on-ranked matchups tonight, Michigan State, Kentucky, and then later on Kansas and Duke on the same floor. These are the types of matchups that you can really look back on in February and March and see, hey, against other teams, against top teams on a neutral floor where you don't have that home court advantage, where do those advantages lie? And I think in this matchup, Kentucky has an advantage, especially at this point of the year. I said kind of tongue-in-cheek before we took the air that Tom Izzo doesn't win games against top 10 teams on the road until March, and it's November. So I think that Kentucky has an advantage in a lot of ways. Michigan State is 3-0, but just 1-2 against the spread. They've been winning, but not dominating. I know you didn't necessarily have a play on this one, but any numbers or indications of where you would lean?
Yeah, I'm joining you. We got the SBTB stamp of approval here. Kentucky minus 4.5. I like the fact that they, can push the pace, and Michigan State wants to slow it down, but I think Kentucky will be able to decide what kind of pace they want to play out. And usually it's Michigan State that has the advantage on the defensive side, but I like what Mark Pope has done right now. Kentucky's 8th offense efficiency and 10th defense efficiency. So they'll be ready on both sides. He's done a great job.
They're balanced.
Taking over, yeah.
They're balanced.
For the Wildcats.
Kind of culture building. Not that Calipari didn't, but he's saying, hey, come here and hang out for maybe 2 years instead of 6 months and then go to the NBA draft. So he's keeping guys, which 2 years in college sports now is an eternity. And I found 2 numbers that lead me to believe that Kentucky will have advantages in a lot of ways, including late in the game. Kentucky right now 4th in rebounding per game in the country. Michigan State 17th. So it's 2 very good rebounding teams, but Kentucky has been not just good, but elite. Here's the number that I found that I told you I was going to say for the show. Kentucky right now, 30th nationally in second half scoring. And it is early. You got to take these with a grain of salt, but it still remains to be seen from a motivation standpoint when you're playing cupcakes if you can keep that foot on the gas in the second half. So Kentucky 30th in the country in second half points. Michigan State 270th. They take the foot off the gas for sure. They tap on the brakes darn near in the second half. So I think that this is a game where if Kentucky goes into the second half with a lead, they're going to be able to expand it based on that. Free throw shooting about even at this point of the year. But I saw that number and my eyes lit up. Michigan State 1-2 against the spread, plus the Kentucky second half scoring advantage. Give me Kentucky. Lay in 4.5. I think they win this game by 5 or more.
What are you thinking for the second game? Kansas and Duke. Duke, pretty big favorite here, double digits. It's up to 11 at the South Point, total 148.5.
And this is number 1 versus number 26 in KenPom, so there is a bit of a separation on paper between Duke and Kansas. The Dukies 4-0 straight up this year and against the spread. Cameron Boozer, every bit of what was advertised coming in, he has been dominant. Kansas, their only loss was against their only non-cupcake. They played UNC and were really never in that one. The other note, too, is that Kansas has lost 4 of their last 5 games against top 5 teams on a neutral floor, which is what this tournament is, what it's designed to do. But it is such a big number. Duke all the way out to 11. And I said before we took the air, this just feels like a backdoor waiting to happen with the Bill Self-coached Kansas team where he has had luck against Duke, winners of 5 of the last 6 in this matchup is specifically. But really the only thing for me, and part of the reason why I'm going to stay away from this one, is the injury status of Darren Peterson, who, if he's healthy and plays the whole season, could be the number 1 pick in this year's draft. Is he going to go? And what % is he if he does go? That's the handicap here.
We just got some inside information, too, from Ryan McCormick, who just sent us a text.
What do we got?
He said Duke will definitely have home crowd. He has seen 10-plus people walking around wearing Duke gear, have not seen any of the other 3 teams.
Duke travels well.
There's got to be a point we can get a better number for in-game. Can Kansas come out fast?
Check it at
quick,
the under 16.
and then maybe get a better number? Because I would like to be under double digits here, laying the points with Duke.
This is definitely a live betting angle. I like that. I like that angle a lot. I mean, that's one of my favorites in primetime NFL games too, where if you like a favorite, but it's too much, like it's a 7 or 8.5 point number, you hope that the dog gets the ball first. You hope that the dog goes down and score. Then you get to take him at like 4.5, 5. And then if they go down and score in that first drive, it's just like you got the number under some of those key numbers right off the bat. So I like that angle. Keep a look at this one. Maybe that under 16, maybe the under 12. I wouldn't bet us like a second half number in this one, just with the motivation factor being so high. But if you can get Duke under double digits, like an 8.5 or 9 in the early stages of the game, I like that a lot. I mean,
watching them last year, they were so dominant. And I know there's some changes there, but like you said, I've seen other guys really step up. So thank you, Ryan, for tuning in and watching
on the
show.
Scene.
Yes.
See, he is working. I'm sorry, Ryan, for saying that you weren't working earlier. He's a busy guy.
But yeah. He's always working. All right, let's go to action.
Let's do it.
3 games, not the best of games. We've got Ohio, who is 30-plus favorite against UMass. That just tells you how bad Massachusetts is this year.
Gotta
Bowling
love
Green,
UMass.
3.5 at home versus Akron, which my number was higher on Bowling Green, but diving into that game, I don't think my number is the best there, so I'm going to avoid that one. Western Michigan, 6.5 against Northern Illinois. The only thing I can find, Matt, is both of these defenses are very good. First half is 19.5.
Ooh.
It's a lean to that under, but that's really it for me between those 3. Anything jump out to you?
I mean, that's tough. Just in the context of this game, 3 first half touchdowns plus a field goal in a game where you're expecting less than 40 points. That feels high for a game like this, especially with Northern Illinois catching almost a touchdown at home. I would at this point of the year be kind of blindly betting more so home dogs in conference games, especially in the MAC as the weather gets cold.
Yeah.
And it's so tough to lay under a 38.5. I actually really like that first half angle.
Under 19.5. So
I like that. And
maybe
then,
even first quarter is the better way to go.
Just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Worst case, you just get burned and you're good after 20 minutes or an hour. Yeah, the MAC doesn't get interesting until it starts to snow. I think that's when we really start seeing the MAC as a conference bring our great nation together. I think that's when we see it the most. Yeah, and then UMass. Oh God bless them out there in Springfield.
Make my own numbers. I made Ohio 33.
Right on it. You and Chrissy right on the same.
I'm with the books here.
What did you make that Western Michigan,
I don't
Northern
think they're
Illinois?
trying to cheat you. What'd you say?
That last one, Western Michigan, Northern Illinois. Where did you have that one?
4.5 and 36.
Okay.
So it's a lean to the under full game, but I was kind of nervous You know, if
Yeah.
things get interesting late
lean-
and that word everybody hates if they have unders
Yeah.
overtime.
Yeah,
So
I'd lean
the first
under.
half.
Again, 19 and a half in the first half with a total of 38 and a half. Yeah, that math isn't mathing for me. I like the under on that.
Okay. Under.
We'll see. Plenty of speaking of snow, plenty of games on the ice tonight.
Yeah.
Our
plays,
poll
too.
again, get in on this poll, bunch of road dogs tonight in the NHL. Is there any of these matchups that stands out to you? That Kraken Red Wings game, I think, jumps off the page at me at one that could potentially be an under spot for sure.
Well, I think so that one I kind of skipped. I made it 6. I thought that was a good number there between those two. Red Wings do have at home. Their last 2 home games have gone over the total, but nothing crazy in regards to streaks there. They are playing their 3rd game in 4 nights, 4th game in 6 nights.
Ooh.
Got to be careful because both of these teams, their median numbers on the year, looking at the Kraken on the road, their median number is 3 goals for and 3.5 goals against. And then Detroit scores at home 4 is their median number, and then 3.5 given up. So careful maybe for that under there. That was a skip for me though, for sure. And Devils, Lightning, same thing. I thought the numbers came just right in that one too. -165 for Tampa Bay, maybe a little high. So I think that is on our poll. I would lean to the Devils getting that plus price. Tampa Bay, 3rd game in 4 nights, and they're on a 2-game losing streak at home compared to the Devils' 2-game win streak in their road game. So nothing for either of those, just leans, but I'll keep it moving here. We're going to go with Toronto. I'm sorry. We're going with Toronto because they have a nice over streak going with their home games. I know that they had I think that's their full on streak, right? No, they had 1 under, sorry, mixed in there. But at home, they still have 9 straight overs. So I like that over 6 between these two. I know the Blues struggle to score, but they are better on the road than at home. 3 goals for, 3 goals against. Maple Leafs 4 goals for and 3. Members still no Austin Matthews though, so that could hurt a little bit with the scoring, but it hasn't really as of late. So I like over 6 in that one. I like Winnipeg, Columbus. I've got a travel section here on my sheet, and Columbus is the worst team on the board. Home to away is tonight, so they just played last night. It's their 3rd game in 4 nights. It is their 6th game in 9 nights.
Oh my God.
So let's go with the more rested team here in the Jets. -175, maybe a little bit of that puck line, getting +145 with Winnipeg.
And you don't always find that much of a rest advantage at this point of the year, especially still kind of in the first half of the season. 6 games in 9 days, and how many did you say on the road?
I don't know their road. They went from home to road.
But still,
so
3rd
yesterday
game
they
in 4
played at
days is
home.
nuts.
3 and 4, 4 and 6, 6 and 9. They hit every box of our
Wow.
travel. And even with hockey, you don't find a whole lot of rest advantage because
No.
their schedules are pretty even, and they do a good job spreading them
So
out.
you fade Columbus tonight, and then once they get the a week and a half off or whatever they get off
Yeah.
after that stretch, then go for them after the rest.
True, very true. Couple more games on the board. I like the Stars. I like the home teams here. I like the Stars and I like Chicago. I like the Stars even though they're -165, 170 now here at the South Point. But I made it closer to $2 and still watching my Islanders number. It might not be high enough, but the Stars team is playing really well. They've won 5 in a row, Matt. They've won 2 straight home games. So I think they're the better team. Maybe another one that you kind of put a little bit, split it up, a little bit of the puck line there.
We do have some comments on some of these NHL games
Yeah.
in the chat. Nick Sansone 14 says no Jack Hughes for the Devils, so something to handicap there, even with that home advantage for them.
Did you see what happened to him?
No, I didn't. Oh, he cut his hand eating dinner with Frank the Tank from Barstool. Is that
correct.
true, by the way? I know he cut it at a team dinner, but was Frank the Tank in attendance?
Yes, I believe it
Oh
was.
my God, that means it's on video somewhere. I don't know if I want to watch that. If it's Barstool, they were filming it.
That's true because they do film everything. But
I'm
I don't
sure
know.
that
It
was-
said he was like leaned against a glass or something. The first initial report said a knife, and then they came back and said like leaned against the glass.
So
I
that
don't
means
know.
that means something happened. Accidents happen. I get that.
Yes.
But anytime you hear a weird like, hey, I slipped in the shower and sprained an ankle, or some weird story like that of an athlete getting hurt, there's always more than meets the eye, especially with hockey players. We know they're a little bit off at times, so that'll be interesting to see kind of how that plays out.
Though, because it seemed like it wasn't going to be that big of a deal, and it's like 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh my
It's
God.
a huge.
He got an artery.
I don't know. Yeah.
JR also says the only NHL trend that he sees is the Sharks have gone under 5 times in a row. He also likes Toronto over. And, we brought up the fact that because of the Olympic break coming up, that's why all these games are condensed. We're going to see something similar with the World Baseball Classic this year in MLB with an early spring training, a little bit of a pause. So preview for that. And then Daryl Turner says he likes Jets, Stars, and Blackhawks too. Interesting as far as fading in our chat. We'll get to our chat answer here in just a minute. Did you have anything on the Golden Knights tonight facing the Rangers here in Vegas?
Nothing on that one. I did make it a little bit higher with Vegas, about minus 145. Probably a good time to take an under here. The Rangers are so much better on the road than they have been at Madison Square Garden. They've won 6 straight road games.
Wow.
And the Knights have lost 4 straight at home. So I kind of factor that into my number being higher, and then it kind of takes me off
Interesting.
of VGK. But maybe to the under, because you got Shesterkin, and I mean, Schmidt has been pretty good for them. But it is 3-4 and 4-6 for VGK.
2 starting goalies, though? At this time of year with this schedule, you never know.
I know. Well, Aiden Hill is out still, so that's been rough for the Knights. But
something to look at. You have any other NHL plays before we get to our poll
I
answers?
do lean to Utah a little bit here because I do. JR's correct. 5 straight unders for the Sharks and 4 of them in home games coming into this one. So when the Sharks are not scoring, it's tough for them to stay in these games. I think Utah is the better team, but minus 130 on the road. It's not my favorite, but it's a lean.
I like it.
That's
All right.
it.
Our poll today. Which plus money road team do you like today in the NHL? The winner with 48% of the vote, the Devils, plus 145 at the Lightning. The Kraken and the Blue Jackets splitting 26% of the vote each, 145 at the Red Wings and plus 155 at the Jets, respectively. Not a single voter thinks that the Islanders at plus 150 have what it takes to upset the Stars. I tend to agree. Maybe not with 0% confidence because the Stars are that much better, but yeah, nobody has any faith in the Islanders. It's interesting there. Should be interesting to see how these road favorites play out. I like that trend. One of them's going to win. I kind of tend to agree with the Devils at the Lightning, even with no Jack Hughes. You ready for some ticker trivia? We're seeing some discussion in the chat about our ticker trivia today.
Okay.
We got it. All right. So this one comes to us from MLB. It comes to us from the 1997 expansion draft. The draft brought in the Tampa Bay then Devil Rays, and now the Rays, and the Arizona Diamondbacks did the draft on site in Phoenix on this day, November 18th, 1997. There were 5 total players from this draft, from both teams combined, that would go on to be MLB All-Stars. Need you to get 3 of them. And like I said, there was probably 2 or 3 that I would have gotten. There were 3 Tampa Bay Rays and 2 Diamondbacks. The 3 Rays, Randy Wynn, Dimitri Young, Bobby Abreu, who's on the Hall of Fame ballot this year, as of the years past as well. And the 2 Diamondbacks, Damian Miller, Tony Batista. Wouldn't have got those 2. And only one of them was a world champion. That was Damian Miller in 2001 with the Diamondbacks. So expansion draft, changing the face of Major League Baseball. That was the most recent expansion draft that took place. Baseball coming back here in late February with the World Baseball Classic kind of shortening but also lengthening spring training. You know, I'm looking forward to it. We're seeing the teams, especially the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, playing some scrimmages against each other already.
Nice.
Robinson Cano got a farewell tour at Citi Field. They put him out there and then took him away. He's been playing in Saudi Arabia the last couple of years. Interesting there. But they're playing a bunch of World Baseball Classic teams, playing a bunch of preseason exhibition scrimmages against major league teams in late February for spring training.
Nice.
So I'm interested in that. Love the World Baseball Classic.
Did you see what NBA is doing for their All-Star this year too?
What are they doing? I saw that they changed. I didn't see the change itself.
They're going to do a round robin, kind of like hockey did, with an international team
Oh, yes.
together, and then United States. I think they're going to have 2
I think it's
American
2
and 1
American
international,
teams.
right?
I like
yeah.
that. Well, we'll see if Wemby and Giannis are back by then. I don't think either of them are expected to miss that much time.
No, I would hope not.
But you ready for whiteboards before we get out of
Yep,
here?
go ahead.
You want me to go
Start us
first?
off
All
if
right.
You are ready.
I've got, let's see, 1 play tonight and then 3 plays in the NFL. Let me see if I can angle that. There we go. All right, so I'm on Kentucky. We've got the stamp of approval. We're both on Kentucky with the 4.5. I think that's a number that does go up. throughout the day as well. So catch it now at 4.5. That is a bet that's already in the account. Patriots -8. I think that's a number that's going to get over there as well. So take that early in the week if you can. Then I'm on the Jets and the Ravens under for the reasons that I mentioned. The Jets defensively have been downright proficient, holding their last 5 opponents at 27 or less, only scoring 14 points exactly in their last 3. And Baltimore has only scored 30 points once this year. So I think both of those teams have that game under, even though I think the Ravens win it pretty sizably. And then a 6-point tease. You get New England, you get Green Bay, and you get Atlanta as a dog. Right now, I would be +2, or rather -2. Green Bay laying 0.5 point. And the Falcons catching 7.5 on the road at New Orleans. That is one that is already in the account. So love the teaser. Love it when you can get as many dogs as possible. But I do like those two favorites in New England and Green Bay.
Nice. Good luck to that teaser. Are you going to do twos together too, or are you just doing one big with all 3 of them? Is that too much?
I don't know. See, I do like Atlanta money line. That, like, I could be convinced on like Atlanta money line, New England money line, Green Bay money line. There's your parlay if you want to. I'm not here to pitch a parlay, but I think it kind of eliminates some of the doubt on the back end, and it's a double down in a certain way where there's not as much risk. So like if you're betting $50 on a tease, maybe throw 25 on that money line parlay because you're going to basically double your winnings at least.
As you mentioned earlier, we'll have Bruce Marshall's plays tomorrow. Looking forward to Week 13 of college football. I'll start adding some too. I like how you add some for the weekend early on in the week.
Yeah, normally it's my only chance.
That's right. Well, no, you got 2 more normally. Yeah,
I'm here Wednesday. I'm here to the next 2 days as well, so I'll have some real low-level college basketball plays for you tomorrow. Don't worry.
We love it. Tonight, I'm going with 3 on the ice, even though I did have another that I really liked, and that was the Blues and the Maple Leafs over that 6, kind of following the streaks there and their median numbers on the year. But I'm going to do these 3 plus monies here. Jets -1.5 +145, fading the Blue Jackets. The tired factor there. Stars -1.5 +150 at home. And then Blackhawks have been playing really good. I think they have the better goalie going tonight with Spencer Knight. They're playing a lot better than the Flames are, so even money at home for them. SBTB stamp of approval or seal of approval, thanks to our friend Ralph Sirocco. Kentucky -4.5. So good luck to all of us. Hopefully we can cash some tickets. We did like Duke, maybe in game.
Did like Duke in game.
Little under first half in that ugly Maction game.
Yep. Champions Classic, college basketball tonight starts at 3:30 Pacific. Watch that on ESPN. That second game scheduled for 6, but as we know with these tournaments where they play back-to-back on the same floor, that one's probably going to start closer to 7.
Yes. Fair, yeah, as they always do.
Love it. Let's go Wildcats.
Wildcats, let's go. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please jump in with the chat if we missed anything. We will shout you out tomorrow. For the crew, Jerry, Vince, Drew, Dog, Sean, Ann, and Ryan, thanks for watching, even on your vacation. We'll see everybody again tomorrow here on Sports by the Book. Remember to share the YouTube channel. Get more people following us here. For Matt and Everett, I'm Alex White. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good luck, everybody. Let's cash some tickets.